Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day, and today the New Orleans Saints have hired their next head coach, and it is Kellen Moore, Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator, who also was the Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator alongside being the Chargers offensive coordinator. I'm going to be honest, I don't like the hire, and as if for the Saints side of it, I don't think it is. I don't think it's a terrible hire for them. That's not really the part I dislike of this hire. It's more for Kellen Moore that I dislike. I think Kellen Moore has a chance to be an amazing head coach with this Saints team, but you have to have a great, I don't know about a great team, but you have to have a good team, a good situation around you in order to be a great coach. And the Saints just don't have that. Let's start off with the fact that Kellen Moore is going into a situation, a team that has the worst cap space in the NFL. They're in the negative in cap space. They're minus $54 million in cap space. So you have no room to, go out there and spend money in free agency, really, unless they make some major roster cuts before free agency. And, at the quarterback position, there's an issue with Derek Carr. Is he going to potentially get traded? And if he does, who is the quarterback of the future for the Saints? Is it Spencer Rattler? And then does, first-year head coach Kellen Moore have to deal with Spencer Rattler as a rookie? I actually really like Spencer Rattler, but I know starting him next season and taking a gamble on him, what I think could be like is having Will Levis like this year. Like last year, for instance, last year with Will Levis with the Tennessee Titans at the end of the 2023 season and Will Levis's rookie season, he started as in his rookie year at the end of the season, he looked pretty solid. He was looking pretty good, just like Spencer Rattler has looked this year. At the end of his season, looked really sharp, had some really good games at the end of the year, and then as soon as the Titans transitioned to him as a starter, year one, he's terrible. And I hope that doesn't happen with Spencer Rattler if he becomes the Saints guy, but it definitely could happen. And I think he has a chance to be a good quarterback because we saw him play solid football without throwing the football to guys like Chris Olave and also Rashid Shaheed. So that could play a huge difference. And I think he might have played a game or two with Alvin Kamara by his side, but most of his time at quarterback was not having Alvin Kamara. So that definitely could play a difference in how Spencer Rattler is as a quarterback. But this is just me. It's not a great situation that the Saints team has, having to take a chance on it with an inexperienced, second-year quarterback, but barely played rookie year, and Spencer Rattler, if they trade Derek Carr, which I think it's looking like they're going to trade Derek Carr, but then also a team who they have talent. At the skill positions, we know they have talent with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Alvin Kamara. Those are some really solid skill players that they have, but these are skill players that they have that cannot stay healthy. Kamara has had injury problems. I thought he was better than he's been in previous seasons at staying healthy, but still, had some injuries. Someone who's been really injury prone is Chris Olave, who has so much talent, but is very injury prone. And Rashid Shaheed has had his fair share of injuries as well. So, a lot of talent when all healthy, but the question is, can they all stay healthy for the entire season? And that's been a huge question mark and failure for the Saints team is injuries. And so it's not just going to a team that has the worst cap space in the NFL, but it's also going to a team that also has a huge injury problem on offense. And so I don't know if I think the smarter choice for Kellen Moore would have been to stay in Philadelphia. If you ask me, you just won the Super Bowl. You're killing it with Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts and absolutely nailing it there. I think there are four teams I picked out that I think their coaches are. I wouldn't say their seats are steaming, but I definitely don't think that there are four teams I picked out that I don't think their jobs are safe. I mean, like with the Bengals, Zach Taylor. Look, they had a good finish to their season. The offense was great, but it's been like 2-3 seasons now in a row where the Bengals don't make the postseason, and Joe Burrow's injuries have played a role into that. And I don't know how hot Zach Taylor's seat is, but I know if there's another bad season in Cincinnati next year, there will be talks about Zach Taylor being let go because you cannot waste Joe Burrow's years. And if, let's just say, the Eagles had Kellen Moore again next season, and let's just say they had another dominant season, maybe won back-to-back Super Bowls, who are the Bengals going to look to replace Zach Taylor? They need an offensive guy because they need that for Joe Burrow. I know one of the number one candidates for the Bengals would be Kellen Moore if that were to happen. I mean, I look at other teams. I look at the Tampa Bay Bucks. I mean, if they have a bad year next year, I wouldn't be surprised if they let it go their head coach. I think Mike McDaniel might be on the hot seat next year. Same thing with Shane Steichen with the Colts. I mean, look, I don't think the Colts and Dolphins are in amazing positions because the Colts kind of maybe have a quarterback issue if Anthony Richardson can't develop. But to me, I think the Colts are in a better position than the Saints are, and same thing with the Dolphins. So I think he could have had 4 opportunities that were better than the Saints next season by staying with the Eagles and having more success with the Eagles. Now, for the Saints, I like this hire, but Kellen Moore is not going to look like a great head coach if his whole offense is injured. You can't. There's not a lot of guys that can go in and have success if both your wide receivers are injured and your running back is injured. So injuries are a big problem for the Saints team, and the head coach can't control that. But it's hard to control that when you can't. You don't have any money to spend. So if they wanted to add in an elite wide receiver next to Olave and Shaheed in order to really have an elite wide receiver, God forbid both of those guys go down again. If you want to get a guy in a trade or a signing, you can't really do that being negative $54 million in the cap. And then also, I mean, you could look to go get a solid guy in the draft for sure. It's not like it can't happen. But let's also talk about the fact that the Saints are at number 9, where T-Mac from Arizona and Travis Hunter are both supposed to be already taken there. Mock draft, the mock drafts I just seen, T-Mac is supposed to go to New York at 7, Travis Hunter going to New England at 4. And you have some other really solid wide receivers in this draft. Like you got Luther Burden from Missouri. You also got Emeka Buka from Ohio State. There's some really other solid wide receivers in this draft, but nobody that would be, worth taking at number 9. So, look, I think at number 9, you can go and look to beef up this offensive line and go get a guy from LSU or Texas, like Texas Kelvin Banks Jr. or Will Campbell from LSU, and that could be a really good way to protect a young quarterback like Rattler if that's going to be their future. But, how do you fix the problem of the wide receiver issue if Olave and, he continued to get injured? And that's something I don't know. But it's definitely gonna be interesting. I mean, look, here's one option potentially. I'm just thinking about. I think Jahan Dotson is supposed to be a free agent, and sometimes you will see players follow an offensive defensive coordinator when they get a head coaching job. Could Kellen Moore potentially go after Jahan Dotson because he is a cheaper option? Possibly, and he's a really solid wide receiver. Jahan Dotson could be an option for the Saints team, but I don't know. I'm not questioning the hire for the Saints. I'm just questioning the move on Kellen Moore's end, because I think the smarter move would have been to stay in Philadelphia. But you know what? Now he gets his first head coaching opportunity, and that's great for him. But if this doesn't work out in New Orleans, and they have to let him go, and that might not even be his fault. It might be because this Saints team is that much of a disaster. He doesn't. It doesn't look great for him in potentially getting another head coaching job. So that's the one thing I would worry about for him. Like if this doesn't work out, and if it doesn't work out, it might not even be his fault because his team is that bad. Then it could make it harder for him to get another job. I don't think on the offensive coordinator level, but on the head coaching level, it could. But let me know your thoughts on the hire in the comment section, and peace out.